Let's talk about something that's, well, it's pretty wild when you think about it. It's this paradox at the very heart of the American economy. In a country that has so much, why does it feel like we're always running out of things?
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? The US is a powerhouse of innovation, with more Nobel Prizes than almost anywhere else. And yet, we seem to struggle with the basics. So, what's the deal? And look, this isn't some abstract economics lecture. We've all felt this stuff. Remember trying to find face masks in 2020, or COVID tests the next year, or that terrifying baby formula shortage? It goes way beyond the pandemic, too, hitting huge things like affordable housing, finding a doctor in huge parts of the country, and even building clean energy projects. The story of America right now is a story of manufactured scarcity.
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we first have to ask, why are the most important things in our lives getting so ridiculously expensive? You know the drill. The political debate on this gets stuck in the same old rut. One side says we just need to spend more money to help people afford stuff. The other side yells, no, we're spending too much and that's causing all the inflation. But what if they're both missing the real story?
Okay, now this chart, this is where it gets really interesting. It basically splits our whole economy in two. Look at those blue lines going down. For physical goods, things like TVs, cell phones, toys, we're amazing at making them cheaper and better. But then look at the red lines going up, and I mean way up. For essential services like healthcare, college, and housing, the costs have just exploded, soaring past inflation and any wage growth.
So here's the kicker. This isn't really a money problem at its core. You can't just throw subsidies at a housing crisis if nobody's allowed to actually build more apartments. The real issue is a national failure of supply. We've simply stopped getting better at providing the things we need the most.
Which brings us to the next big question. Why? Why did we get so slow at making things and providing essential services? Well, a lot of it boils down to this one kind of wonky but super important word, vetocracy. It describes a system where it's just way easier to stop something from happening than it is to get something built. We've created a world of endless veto points where all kinds of groups and individuals can just say no, leading to total gridlock. Housing is the perfect and maybe most frustrating example of this. You see the signs in the front yard, all are welcome here. But then you look at the backyard policies, the zoning laws that ban apartments, the years of permit delays, the lawsuits designed to block new construction. It all adds up to this. Our wealthiest, most productive cities have made it almost impossible to build new homes. And believe me, this isn't just about houses. Think about this for a second. In the early 1900s, New York built its first 28 subway stations in 4 years. 4. Fast forward a century, and it took 17 years, 17, to build just 3 new stations. Our muscle for building big, important things has just atrophied. All right, let's switch gears to healthcare. And wow, this chart is it's staggering. For a full 25 years, while the US population grew by 60 million people, the number of new doctors we trained every year basically stayed flat. This wasn't some accident, it was a choice, and it directly created the doctor shortages we're dealing with today. So what we've done is we've basically designed a system that creates a shortage of doctors. Medical school in the US is the longest and most expensive in the developed world. We've capped the number of residency slots, which are essential for training. We make it incredibly hard for doctors trained overseas to practice here, and we even stop highly skilled nurses from providing more care. We have literally chosen to have less healthcare. Okay, so if the problem is that we're making things scarce, what's the fix? Well, that brings us to a whole new way of thinking about this. It's called the abundance agenda. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also revolutionary. Instead of endlessly fighting over how to slice up a small and shrinking pie, why don't we focus all our energy in just making the pie way bigger? Let's make housing, clean energy, and healthcare plentiful and cheap by systematically taking down all the barriers that hold back supply. I love this quote from the entrepreneur Saul Griffith because it just nails the whole vibe of this agenda. It's optimistic. It's not about making do with less. It's about building a future that is, awesome. A future that is genuinely better for everyone. And this is a really important point. We always think progress is about waiting for the next big invention, right? That big eureka moment. But our problem right now isn't a shortage of good ideas. It's that we're failing to actually implement the brilliant ideas we already have. You want to see a perfect example of this? Just look at the story of solar power. American researchers invented the modern solar cell. Back in the 80s, we were leading the world in funding the research.
But then what happened? We completely failed to build the industries and policies to deploy it. Other countries took our invention, ran with it, and now they're leading the world. We're great at inventing, but we get stuck in this valley of death between having the idea and actually making it happen at scale.
So this all leads to the final piece of the puzzle. To really fix this, it's not just about changing policies. We need to change our whole mindset. Think about it. For so long, the message, especially on things like the environment, has been about scarcity. Reduce, reuse, recycle. It's a mindset of sacrifice, of living with less. The abundance mindset just flips that script entirely. It says, let's build, let's deploy, let's electrify. We can have a future with amazing things, powered by clean energy that's everywhere. It's about progress, not punishment. And that's really what it all comes down to, isn't it? We have proven, time and again, that America is world-class at inventing the future. But progress doesn't end in the lab. The real question now is whether we can rediscover the will to actually build the future we've already invented.